Welcome to my classroom. In this biochemical engineering course, in module 1, in first 3 lectures, we have discussed about bioprocess engineering or biochemical engineering. What is biochemical engineering? What is the significance or role of a biochemical engineer in this society? And we have for that a case study of story of penicillin was considered. We have seen in the development of penicillin in the large scale how a microbiologist, a chemical engineer came together to develop this product in large scale, and there was a demand for a chemical engineer to be trained in life sciences, right? So then only this biochemical engineering came into picture. Since then a biochemical engineer plays a major role in this society, particularly in food industries, pharmaceutical industries. We have a good role to play as a biochemical engineer, right? And we have seen the story of penicillin. Also we have seen some of the institutes in India where from we can buy these microorganisms like bacteria, yeast, enzymes, and algae, all this, right? Now in this lecture we will see what are the challenges that are faced by the biochemical engineers, and we will see what is upstream processing and downstream processing with a case study of production of penicillin in this lecture. Okay, we have seen that these biochemical engineers have a role to play in food industries, chemical industries and pharmaceutical industries, and even medical sciences. They understand all these metabolism, all these things for treating the patients. And if you look at any fermentation process is involved or any biochemical process is involved, we can classify. We know that in a chemical plant we simply say it as like it is a chemical process plant, and we have different unit. We can divide the chemical industry or chemical process into unit operations and unit processes. You know the difference between unit operations and unit processes. Unit processes is one in which a chemical reaction is involved, a chemical change takes place, whereas only physical change like phase change or percentage or concentration or thickening or diluting things are taking place, or size change or size reduction are taking place. In that case we call it as unit operations, right? Mass transfer, heat transfer all come under unit operations. Whereas when a chemical reactor is involved, or chemical oxidation or chemisorption is taking place, wherever chemical change is there, we call it as unit process. Okay, so in general any industry we know that there will be one unit process, and surrounding it you will have different unit operations. Whereas in petrochemical industry there will be one mother unit, we call it as a mother or heart of a process. We say in chemical reactor is the heart of a chemical plant, because whatever is happening around that reactor, we have to prepare the raw materials according to the reactor, as well as whatever is the percentage conversion, selectivity, all that taking place in a reactor. Accordingly we should have a unit operations after it, right? So that way before and after a chemical reactor there will be a number of unit operations in any chemical plant. Whereas in case of petrochemical industries, what our mother unit is like mass transfer operation, that is distillation is our mother unit, right? And surrounding it there will be, we know that different streams are withdrawn from the top of the column, or in between different level we get different products, and each will be subjected to some unit process. So in a petrochemical industry it is different, because there will be more number of unit processes than unit operations. Unit operation is mother unit there, and there will be a number of unit processes involved in it. Okay, when it comes to this biochemical processes, we told that in place of a catalyst, a biomolecule or a microorganism or enzyme is being used as the catalyst here. Okay, they do the role of a catalyst in a normal chemical reaction. Okay, so here the unit means up to fermentation we have to make some all the adjustment has to be made, the media has to be there, nutrient has to be there for the microorganism to grow. So properly we have to take these from, as I said, we buy the microorganism from the place where it is stored. They sell us some small test tube, we will get it. So from that we have to grow it in our incubator at a proper state. So once we grow these microorganisms, then we will introduce them into a reactor. So when microorganism is there, when we have to make it in aerobic condition, that is oxygen needs to be supplied continuously. So air is being supplied. That means air has to be introduced into the system. When air is introduced, obviously you have solid and liquid, and air is coming into picture. That way it is a three-phase phenomena is taking place. That is where this our multi-phase system is coming into picture. Whenever we consider a fermentation reaction or biochemical reaction is involved. So that means an agitated vessel, we call it as, our fed batch reactor is the major reactor type which is being used to carry out these fermentation reactions in large scale. And whatever is the unit operations present before this reactor, including the reactor, we call it as upstream process. So all these comes under upstream steps. And once we harvest the product that is formed from the system, and once we because remember I told you that the concentration of the product, even in the story of penicillin, we have seen that it's very small quantity per liter is available. So we have to recover it by using different unit operations, like microfiltration may be needed, centrifuge may be needed. Okay, so like that, if it is protein is formed, protein needs to be, even crystallization will be required. So like that, so many unit operations are required in the downstream process. So that comes, and that is called as bio separation processes. So we will not be focusing that. That is towards the end of this course we will give introduction to these downstream processes. Mainly we will focus on this biochemical engineering part. So whatever the process post reactor, post fermenter, once we recover the product, what are the steps involved in purifying the product or isolating the product and separating it from the byproducts or the unreacted raw materials. So all these steps are called as downstream steps, downstream processing. Okay, so mainly it involves separation of the product and purification of the product, then final finishing and filling and storing it in properly, labeling it and marketing it. Okay, so that will be the steps that is being followed. So in general, an upstream processing encompasses any technology that leads to the synthesis of a product, including the exploration of it, development of the product, or even production of the product, till the product is produced from the raw material, including the microorganism. We call it as upstream processing. Whereas downstream processing refers to the extraction of the product and the purification of the biochemical product from the fermenter is referred to as downstream processing. Okay, so to understand, we will consider, if we look at the different fermentation products are there. If you look at any chemical industry, chemicals like ethanol, I gave introduction lecture also, I told, if you use Saccharomyces cerevisiae, we produce bioethanol because it is one of the good microorganism which yields ethanol, and acetone, butanol, like that. Bulk organics can be produced. Different fermentation products are there. You can go through the list. So you have bulk organics like ethanol and acetone produced from Saccharomyces cerevisiae and this microorganism. And if you have fermentation product has to be biomass like single cell protein, or you want some culture or yeast for to be used in the food products and agricultural usage. This kind of lactic acid bacteria, Baker's yeast, Pseudomonas methylotrophes. So these are some of the microorganisms which will be used to produce this biomass. And there are different chemicals like organic acids like citric acid, gluconic acid, lactic acid, etaconic acid. So I hope yesterday you might have received a BTech project allotment, right? If you are looking to any chemical production, you can refer to all these chemicals. You can consider one of the production, because you are going to do design project. You need not even follow biochemical route. There may be other routes to produce this chemical. You can follow that and do the project. Okay, citric acid production of citric acid 100 tons per day. Like that, you can choose a topic. Gluconic acid, lactic acid, etaconic acid. So different Aspergillus niger kind of microorganisms are being used. And even you can choose these acids like glutamic acid, lysine, phenylalanine, arginine, like that. And if you look at some steroids, medicine, microbial transformations like steroids, disorbital to L-sorbose, vitamin C production. So several microorganisms are used. So these are some of the examples for biochemical productions. Okay, means biological route can be followed to produce these things. And there are several enzymes which are being used for various applications. So in the production of enzymes, these microorganisms play a role. So, and also vitamin tablets has to be produced. Vitamin tablets can be produced using these biological routes. And there are some pigments like beta carotene, chiconin, which can be produced in large quantity using this biological route, using these microorganisms. And there are several vaccines like hepatitis B can be produced using biochemical engineering route. Okay, so these are some of the example. If you can look at the antibiotics is a major biopharmaceutical products like antibiotics like penicillin, cephalosporins. Okay, so all these antibiotics can be produced using different microorganisms, you can see. So why we list only one? Will it not be produced using other? No. What we have given is which is well known or widely used or commercially used microorganisms, right? Any microbiologist can try a new microorganism to produce any one of these antibiotic, and we will observe that if that is going to be giving better yield or the product development is easier or efficiency is more, or you can say conversion or selectivity and yield of the product is more, we can make use of other microorganism. That is where biochemical engineers do work research on it. Okay, so these are some well known commercially used microorganisms to produce these antibiotics. Okay, so that's what now we will see. One of the even extracellular polysaccharides like xanthan gum or zestram can be produced using biochemical routes. So in this lecture we will see case study for penicillin, how penicillin is produced using biochemical method in large scale. Okay, so we can see that in general it will have, we will have the cell culture will be there, we have to produce it using an incubator, we have to grow it, and from that we prepare inoculum. See, all this we will look at it in detail. What is the medium in which this microorganism are produced, we will discuss them in detail later. So in this case study we will consider what are the steps involved in production of penicillin. Okay, so inoculum preparation, this is general for any biopharmaceutical company. Flowchart will be having this. If it is biological route, see there are chemical synthesis route also there. If it is biological route, in addition to simply storage tank, you see if it is a chemical unit, you will say raw material is storage tank will be your starting point, right? Here in addition these steps are involved. We get the culture, cell culture will be stored at a particular temperature. When we want to use it, we will make into a flask and put it in a growth medium will be there. There are different type of medium in which needs to be used for a particular microorganism will be given along with the catalog book when you buy a microorganism. Okay, each microorganism needs a particular you can say nitrogen source, carbon source, oxygen supply, all that, right? So that way we will prepare the microorganism and we call it as inoculum. So once the inoculum is prepared in large quantity, that will be introduced into the fermentator. Then the product is taken out. We will have centrifugation or other different type of downstream processing will be involved to separate out the product. Okay, so why I want to show it penicillin is I have seen that several antibiotics are being produced using this biochemical route. So if somebody gets a job in pharmaceutical industry, even when we were revising our syllabus, many people external from the industry have told that there is a huge demand going to come for chemical engineers or biochemical engineers from the pharmaceutical industry, because with every day we get new diseases and new medicines are being generated or vaccines are to be developed, right? So that way there is a demand for chemical engineers from the pharmaceutical industry, particularly if it involves a biological process, biological route, we call it as biopharmaceutical product. Okay, so in general what we are there, I told you that it can be chemical route also, right? Whatever flowchart I showed you in the previous slide, you can see that if it is chemical substance, directly we will go to synthesis. Like from storage tank, it will be heated, or it may be purification or size reduction may be there, right? If it is in crystal form, we may have to use a ball mill to reduce the size and put it introduce them into the reactor, right? So that will be the synthesis route if it is a chemical substance. Whereas if it is a microorganic fermentation technique is there, in that case it will involve a microorganic culture which needs fermentation, and then we will make the pharmacologically whatever is the formulation has to be done, right? So that will be followed. Even if some medicines are extracted from vegetable or animal tissues, right? So that way some substrate extractor will be used to extract the tissues, vegetable or animal tissues. We extract the required component and then we will use it, mix it in the medicine, right? So that is three different routes from which any pharmaceutical active substance can be produced. One is chemical route, just by using a typical chemical synthesis you may make a tablet, or other way is biochemical route. Other thing is, this is what biotechnologists focus on. Whatever vegetable or animal tissue, they even modify it, right? So all that is taken care by the biotechnologists. Pure biotechnologists will focus mainly on this one. In that itself, if it is a chemical engineer becoming biochemical or biotechnologist becoming a biochemical engineer, they will primarily focus on these routes, so that microorganic cultures, fermentation, and then getting the pharmacologically active substances. So that is our role in this, any pharmaceutical industry involved in producing antibiotics or other medicines. Okay, so once this active substance is obtained, so then they will go to make the tablet packaging. How to do? It involves several steps. Okay, so there may be, see, remember the medicines can go in the form of syrup, right, in the liquid form, right? Otherwise it can be in the form of tablets or capsules, right? So that will involve the typical steps like proper proportion. Once, it is not that any medicine contains only one particular component, right? So remaining, there will be a mixture of 5 to 6 ingredients in any tablet, right? So that way proper proportion will be done. This is not research stage, this is production power thing I am showing, right? What we discussed in the previous lecture is story of penicillin is in the discovery stage, or in the production or optimizing what is the proper thing, right? So that way here also we assumed that a proper proportion is done through the research, right? How it is done, I will discuss it in the second half of this lecture. So here we are seeing, once everything is there, proper permission is obtained for particular formulation for a particular medicine, particular antibiotic. So what is to be done here is the flow diagram. So the proper proportion, it has to be mixing. If it is solid, we will be doing some mixing, and then we will make it in the paste form or ointment form, right? Or it may be in the direct antibiotics in powder form, right? So then finally they will do some cleaning, washing, or dust removal, then they will do packaging. But if it is to be given in the form of freeze dried product, or even in the form of syrups or liquid forms, so that has to be done. We have to dilute that proportion in the water or suitable solvent, so that will be stored in freeze drying, or freeze dried products will be sent. Okay, so that is one way. Another way is like direct powders, just cleaning and then do packaging. Other thing is, it can be in the form of powder, it can be done in the form of capsules, granules, tablets, and pills. By any chance you people did pharmaceutical technology as elective? One of you? Did you have elective pharmaceutical technology separately? Discuss in detail all this?
No, sir.
No. Okay, then I'll explain this. Okay. So this whatever pharmaceutical product, it may be a tablet or granules or pills, so different form, at that shape, it has to be fixed. You will have the all the equipments, all are unit operations. Okay, so mechanical operation, whatever we have seen, size reduction, powder, fine powders, then it will be made into solidified to the shape required. Okay, by pressing, by doing that, then the packaging will be there. Okay, so even after this there will be a washing step, and then packing step will be there. Okay, so this, if you want to explain in detail, so as I said, there will be compressing, the powder will be there, they will do the proportioning. Means what do you do? We mix all the 5 to 6 ingredients, including the active component, pharmaceutically active components, everything, additional powders into it, and they will make it into granule powder. Once that is done, we do some compression. By doing compression, and then to make it sweeter, sugar coating may be done in some cases, because we may hesitate to take the tablet if it is too taste is not good. So that way usually they do sugar coating, and then it will be go in the form of pills. Okay, so other way is capsules. So only they will fill it into a capsule, the direct filling can be done. Okay, so into this capsule form. So there are another thing, some are given as powder form, like electrolysis powder or glucose powder. So they will just give it in powder form, you dissolve in water and drink it. Okay, so there are different type of products that is there. That is with respect to only mechanical operations. Okay, so whereas where is focus of a biochemical engineer in the initial stage, because we have seen that small contamination will totally damage whatever work done in the remaining units. Okay, so that way there is the role of a biochemical engineer is to ensure during this initial step, particularly this fermentation step is involved. If it is chemical step, less work. Okay, as a process engineer, no supervisor will take care of all the things. Any pumping problem, any control problem will be taken care. But whereas here we have to follow stringent protocols, that is the good practices, right? Good manufacturing practices has to be followed here in this, to ensure no strain is being contaminated, because once it is contaminated, whatever work is done after all these things while doing quality control, we have to discard them. Okay, so that way it is essential that we take care here. Okay, so we'll see what are the, say for example, we have seen this is a typical flow diagram for a pharmaceutical industry, particularly antibiotics. If you look at, one of the antibiotic is penicillin. If you see the case study for production of penicillin, you will see that we have already seen it was rediscovered by Alexander Fleming in 1930s. Okay, so he found that substance as penicillin, and we have seen that after Second World War, two people decided to use it and identify that one. So after several years, we have able to produce penicillin as a commercial product. Okay, so it's generally it is produced in aerobic submerged fermentation process. And if you look at this production of penicillin, it requires some of the medium, particularly lactose or other sugars, and it needs a source of nitrogen. Okay, nowadays source for yeast extract is used as the source of nitrogen to produce this penicillin. Okay, remember there are several mediums can be used. So what I am saying is what is being widely used. Okay, widely this lactose and other sugars. Even if you read some latest literature, yesterday also I see people stopped using lactose, they started using other alternatives. Okay, so in general, in long term, these are the materials which are being used to prepare the required medium. What is medium? We'll discuss in detail. That is the medium which facilitates the multiplication or the logarithmic phase growth of these microorganisms. Okay, so what is nowadays, if you look at the present day penicillin fermentations, they are highly automated. We have seen, as a chemical engineer, we know process control. So control of the parameters, whatever pH, because remember mainly pH has to be maintained, because some of the microorganisms grow well in acidic, some grow well in alkaline medium. So pH maintenance is important, but sometimes it may even needed that we have to adjust the pH of the medium, so that after a certain time we may have to alter it. Okay, so initially you may have to keep a particular pH, after a certain phase you have to change the pH, so that you continue to produce more product. Okay, and we have seen that it was in initial, I told you that any biochemical product, the yield is going to be very less. If you see even the modern industrial strains which are being used nowadays, strain refers to this microorganism. Okay, whatever is a microorganism nowadays we have obtained, they are able to produce 40 to 50 milligrams of penicillin per liter of culture broth solution, we call it. So per liter of broth solution we get around only 50 grams of penicillin, and that the recovery is also only 80% recovery yield. Okay, so that is the amount we will get. If you use 1 liter solution, we get only 50 grams of product. Okay, also that we get able to recover only 90% in the recovery stage, that is in the downstream process. Okay, and if you look at the amount, even if you look at it is very less, but if you look at the initial stage, which was only 0.15 grams per liter, which was very low recovery rate. So that way it is the first, when initially the recovery was, they were able to produce only 0.5 grams of penicillin per liter. Okay, now we are able to produce 40 to 50 grams of penicillin only because of continuous research and developments taken place using a biochemical engineers focusing on improving its efficiency. Okay, improving the conditions, right? Necessary conditions, like what is the medium, people will keep trying new things, right? So that is the improvement being taken place. And remember, it is, we can divide the metabolites into primary metabolites and secondary metabolites, and penicillin is coming under the secondary metabolite, and most of the secondary metabolites are produced in stationary phase only, and it is active against certain gram-negative. We have seen what is gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria. So it is mainly this penicillin is used to treat or bring antibacterial activity towards this gram-negative bacteria, which will be this which gram-negative bacteria which will be present in the presence of blood, pus, and body fluids. This when they introduce this penicillin medicine, it is treating them well. Okay, so it is able to kill those gram-negative bacteria. Okay, and if you are having aqueous solution of penicillin, it is very unstable, so we have to store the aqueous solution of penicillin because it is marketed sometimes in liquid form, means it has to be stored under refrigeration conditions. So if you look at as a chemical engineer, okay, I forget about this microorganism name, all this. For me, penicillin is a product. Okay, so what to do? What is the chemical formula? As a chemical engineer, we start from here, right? Raw material is A has a particular molecular weight, right? So it is going to be more unstable. So what to do? So if you can see this, how to store it, penicillin has to be aqueous phase. If you want to keep it in a more stable phase, the pH of the solution has to be maintained around 6 to 6.5. So that way it is stored. Mainly it is stored under pH of 6 to 6.5, where it is more stable, and reasonably it is stable under this pH range of additional 0.5. Okay, that is 5.5 to 7.5. This is reasonably stable. And mainly this nitrogen one, you can see here, it is penicillin is C16H18N2O4S. so if you can refer that, in place of nitrogen, it is usually marketed in the form of salt, okay, sodium salt or potassium salt. So this, if you see H18N2, you can see here H17Na. so this is sodium salt of penicillin or potassium salt of penicillin. So obviously when you replace this nitrogen with Na, molecular weight also will change, right? So if you calculate the molecular weight, you can, regular class I used to give that as exercise, how to calculate the molecular weight: 16 times atomic weight of carbon, 17 times hydrogen, 1 times sodium, 4 times oxygen, 1 times sulfur. If you to make a total, you will get the molecular weight. Okay, so usually penicillin, it is marketed in the form of sodium salt. So in the right hand side, are you able to see this? So penicillin G sodium salt is being circulated. You can see the molecular weight 356. Yes, 356 here. So that way this is stable products. Okay, so in the salt form it is being circulated, but sometimes it is being given in this form, penicillin G. This is if you see the vintage photograph in 1950s, this is the way this crystalline penicillin G was marketed. Okay, so this vintage photograph of penicillin which is being marketed in that period, 1950s. Okay, so if you look at the chemical structure of penicillin, it has what is responsible for this antimicrobial activity is mainly due to this beta lactam ring, where you can see one nitrogen here, Cu double bond O. So in this side on acryl side chain you have CH. So this the antibacterial activity of the penicillin lies within this beta lactam ring, which has a 6 amino position, carries a variety of acryl side chains. So they are responsible for the antimicrobial activity. Okay, so this is mainly the 6 amino phenylenedic acid, that is the reason for that, can be adjusted, right, with various. So this can be marketed in different products by replacing these 6 amino phenylenedic acid. Okay, so not only penicillin, there is another antibiotic called as cephalosporins. Both of them are called as beta lactam antibiotics because of this beta lactam chemical structure. Okay, you can see this, it contains one cysteine and valine rings. Okay, one second. Okay, so as I said that we have seen that the 6-APA can be modified to have different products. So there are 6 different penicillin which are being marketed. Okay, this you can see, this is Fleming. You can see the structure of penicillin chrysogenum. Okay, so this microorganism. You can see that penicillin is not a single chemical compound, it is a group of compounds and related, they have a different structure and activity. For example, as I said, that chemical can be modified and different products are there. You can say penicillin G, which refers to benzyl penicillin, penicillin B, which refers to phenoxymethyl penicillin. So like that we have penicillin F, X, K and O. Okay, so they are modified penicillin. Okay, as I said, this R group can be modified and we have different penicillin which is there. And as I told, it is again, it's reiterating that it is selective for gram-positive bacteria and sometimes it is treating these spirochetes and gram-negative diplococci also. Okay, so this is the use application of this penicillin. If you see, refer to some of the conditions, you can refer to some of the slides available in internet. You can see that aeration has to be supplied, oxygen has to be supplied to it, on temperature has to be maintained. Okay, so it will, pH has to be maintained. Okay, some optimum condition you can refer. They say different industry won't let you know what is exact formula they are following, but whatever is available in the literature reported from research output, we can see that how they produce this penicillin. So in general, steps involved are, we have to introduce this medium. In the medium we have to grow this microorganism and they have to introduce this starting culture penicillium into this batch fermenter, and we have to wait for some days. Remember, minimum 150 to 200 hours, that means almost 7 days, right? 724, sir. So that much days we have to wait to produce the microorganisms, get the product penicillin to be formed. So after that, it maybe needs to be filtered out and we have to dissolve it in some solvent, and then we have to add potassium ions. If it is a potassium salt, we have to add potassium. Sodium means sodium ions needs to be added. Okay, sodium salt will be obtained. So then washing, filtering and drying needs to be done, where we will get 95% pure penicillin. Okay, and whatever is the other fungal cells are there, that can be used as a byproduct, can be used as the animal feed. So that's what takes place in a typical penicillin manufacturing. Okay, so if you look at the chemical industry, if you look, say as a chemical engineer, we can see the commercial production of penicillin in a flowchart form. We have to draw it. We have a standard protocol to draw, how to draw a process flowchart, which you will be doing in your BTech final year project also. So you should follow the standard notations which you have learnt in chemical technology course. Okay, so how to represent a flask, how to represent a test tube, how to represent a unit operation, how to represent a reactor, how to represent a heat exchanger. So proper diagram, line diagrams you have to follow. Okay, and many of you might be using these simulation tools where you will easily get the flow diagrams. You can make your own flow charts also, right? For that we should know the understanding like this, what and all I require to produce this, right? Then you can start doing your simulation flow diagram, can be easily done, right? What is the steps involved, so you can know. So particularly we will be using this penicillin chrysogenum, it should be in italics. So that inoculum of high yielding strain of inoculum has to be prepared using the standard standard operating procedure, and which is follow as inoculum is first cultured in the flask in wheat bran nutrient solution for a week at 24 degrees Celsius, and then this culture is then transferred into a inoculum tank. Okay, and it is grown there, allowed to, microorganism is allowed to multiply there for another 1 or 2 days under aeration condition, and this supports heavy mycelial growth also. And this inoculum is now added into the large fermenters containing the production medium, which consists of all these requirements, right? Glucose or molasses, how much percentage, constitutive solution. It is in large scale. Whatever is happening here in this shaker, we are doing it in this with the introduction of all these oxygen also, right? Oxygen has to be continuously supplied here. So some of the vegetable oil is added. I will discuss this medium in detail in another lecture. So this is a particular medium which needs to be added. These are the other ingredients to be added into the fermenter to facilitate the penicillin production. Okay, so you have to adjust the pH to 6 and temperature is regulated to maintain at 26 degrees Celsius, around 26. Okay, so this, as I said, aerobic condition has to be brought, nutrient supply has to be done as a fed batch culture. Say it is not a continuous reactor or even it's not a batch, it is a fed batch. I hope in CRE you have learned what is fed batch reactor. So we often, after an interval, we keep adding something into the system. So here the nutrient is, remember, nutrient has to be added whenever this, we will have a cell growth curve. So once it tries to get flattened, we introduce the nutrient again, so that again it gets the energy to multiply and do the things. Okay, so that's why it's a batch reactor. It's called fed batch reactor. This fungi grows in the submerged culture, mostly as mycelial balls. Okay, so this fermentation is carried out usually for 7 days. As I said, generally many industry I have seen refer to different industry. They mentioned around 150 hours to 200 hours. Okay, so that is the average time which is being be allowed for fermentation to take place. That's only disadvantage biological process. It's not instantaneously produced. Okay, so that there is a time delay. Time is required for the product to be formed. Okay, so this fermentation is carried out at least for 7 days, and all the carbohydrates are used up. It reduces the carbohydrate level in the medium, so which will favor the production of penicillin. Okay, so that will be, it will actually, the penicillin production will be starting from second day onwards, and towards the seventh day we get around some good conversion. Okay, so then after the seventh day, we want to recover this thing, right? What to do? We alter the pH medium to stop the reaction. Okay, pH is increased to 8 by the seventh day. It's for particular process they are reported. Okay, so different people will have their optimum time when to stop the reaction. Okay, so here the reaction takes place. This biochemical reaction takes place. We will see the mechanism or kinetics in detail in the next module in enzyme kinetics. Okay, what is Michaelis-Menten's constant, all that. Okay, now this pH is increased means we are stopping the reaction, and this production will be stopped at this stage. Then we use the precursor, all these things, to produce the penicillin G. Okay, once we produce this penicillin G, at the end of this fermentation period, the biomass has to be separated out, which will be used as the animal feed. And penicillin G is present in this liquid, means as I said, only 50 milligrams per liter kind of broth solution, which needs to be extracted using some solvent. So remember, it may be written online. It's a tedious process which needs highly sophisticated equipments also to recover the products. Okay, so finally, when you say penicillin G, it is purified as potassium salt or sodium salt, and then it is converted into 6-APA either by chemical route or by biological route. Further, it can be converted. Okay, penicillin G. And this, as I told, maximum we can see that this is a particular chemical plant flow sheet I have taken from another source. You can see the seed fermenter, fermentation tank, surge tank is there. So after this thing, we need all these, so many instruments are needed. Even mainly you can see the extraction is done, and then use of penicillin. What mainly even crystallization. I hope in master answer to crystallization or in chemical process calculation we have seen what is crystallization. So that is also one of the route through which we separate the products. Okay, so we may use centrifuge, we will use crystallization, evaporators, centrifugal extractors will be there. Okay, so even we may use some bed also, filtration beds, microfilter, ultra filters will be used. All the advanced micro filtration techniques will be utilized here. That's why these are all downstream processing, which we will discuss in detail also later. Okay, why we have to produce penicillin? Is it only used as antibiotic? So we have other applications also. So the penicillin V potassium treats different kinds of infection like pneumonia, respiratory tract and throat infection also, and it also prevents rheumatic fever. Sometimes it cures anthrax infections on the skin also. And when it is used in as a hybrid, like when you combine this antibiotic with other antibiotic, it can also treat diphtheria, and it also used to treat heart valve infections. When there is some infection in the heart valve, it is also used. Okay, and if you ask me what are the other products which can be produced and used as the antibiotic, you can see some from penicillin we can produce ampicillin. It is a derivative of penicillin, right? So when you modify the 6-APA side chain, we get this ampicillin, that is another antibiotic, okay, which is used to treat this kind of bacterial infections. Okay, so then you have cephalosporin, which is for which cephalosporium species is used as a resource. Okay, then we have fumagillin, methicillin. This all these antibiotics can be produced using these microorganisms. Okay, okay, so that is the production of penicillin. So now, what is how we are different from biotechnologies? As I said, biotechnologies will focus on this animal tissue, plant tissue kind of thing. So they focus on that one. A biochemical engineer mainly focuses on this fermentation processes, right? Or using the enzyme, all that. Okay, so but a biotechnology will focus on see whatever we did here also. We used a particular strain, right? I told you that here microorganic culture fermentation we are doing to identify, to optimize a particular species. Biotechnologists work. Okay, so they even make some alterations, right? So particular strain can be modified artificially to get a particular thing, or they mainly focus on this vegetable animal tissues extraction of whatever is required thing. Okay, so that's where we are different from biotechnologies. They primarily focus on that part. Okay, so they identify which strain we have to use. In simple words, microbiologist or a biotechnologist will primarily work in that area. Okay, remember from that also somebody who is specializing in biochemical engineering will work in this area, but basically that will be the difference here. Okay, so now we will finish with looking at the what are the challenges that are being faced by a biochemical engineer. We have seen our job is not so easy. Not only as a chemical engineer, we only focus on this production plant. Okay, so all this will have to face. This is under the scanner of the government. Why I say a scanner of the government is because government makes different laws. They keep changing the laws also according to different report they obtain, right? Based on the side effects, all this. So each stage we have to satisfy the government rules in the production. So that is where our challenge is there, which we will discuss in detail now. Okay, what are the challenges faced by the biochemical engineer? So what is biochemical engineering? We have seen it is mainly focusing on the extension of chemical engineering, where we make use of a biological catalyst to obtain some more value added products, and we focus on this bioreaction engineering and bioseparation. So when I say bioseparation techniques, it is downstream steps. When I say bioreaction engineering, we are talking about the fermentation reaction, okay, or enzyme engineering. So all that we will be focusing. So the biochemical engineering and bioprocess engineering is developing the total process based on the living cells or cellular components. Okay, and we know that there are various range of microbial products, which I have shown you in the tabular form also earlier. If you look at the chemical industry, there are several products like lactic acid, acetic acid, ethanol, acetone, even microbial routes to degrade the petroleum products are being done. And mainly for food industries to produce yogurt, cheese, buttermilk, sour cream, butter, pickles, beer. Okay, so all these needs, and there are several herbicides and pesticides also can be used in the food industry. And pharmaceutical industry we have already discussed in detail. So several antibiotics are being produced. Okay, and so here in all these places you have a role to play as a biochemical engineer or a chemical engineer with little understanding of microbiology or biotechnology. Okay, so there are several regulatory constraints which we need to comply. Okay, so what is, because there are mandatory to to follow the government rules. Okay, and if you look at the US, there is a administration called Food and Drug Administrator. In India also we have our own. Every country we have its own because of textbook is written by the author. They finally focus on this. They even in each country have their own drug administrator. Okay, in India we have, I'll take the case of Covaxin and COVID-19 vaccine and explain you the Indian thing. So before that, if you look at this regulatory concern we have to face. So if you look at this FDA approval process, any new medicine, it's not that some random process. As a scientific person, we have to follow scientific evidence. We have to believe in scientific evidence. It's so for any drug development, it takes up to 6.5 years of development. That means a new vaccine, even for COVID-19, we have not followed all the standard protocols because people are under danger. So sometimes it is excused like this pandemic type situation. But in general, even if you say that I discovered a medicine for headache, it will follow 6.5 years to take to a patient first. In our case, what we have done, directly we are testing into the human beings. Phase 1, phase 2 trials are done. Parallelly, we started giving to people. Phase 1 result is okay, you start giving like that. But in general, it has to follow through these steps. Okay, so each step has years. Okay, so for example, if a new medicine or a drug is discovered, okay, first it has to be injected into animals, like lethal dosage is there. They will slowly increase the concentration and they will give, for if you say if 25 milligram is needed, they'll start with 20%, 30%, 50%. And what is means how much dose it takes to it's like we have to follow several ethical clearances is needed. Even animal house is there, rat has to be grown, rat, rabbits kind of animals will be grown in a particular place, and we have to inject this drug into them, and we have to report the result, how much how many have survived, what is the side effect. We have to observe them very closely. Okay, so with that kind of thing it will take place. Okay, so that is first stage is preclinical testing, which refers to testing in animals. Okay, then only comes to phase 1 clinical trials. Any drug, including vaccines that we are making, after the 6.5 years of invention of a new drug, it will go reach the human being, where that also with volunteers only they will do. Okay, they will take consent from the patient, and for 1 year they will be doing this test, like involving some 20 to 80 healthy normal volunteering is important, and they will say that it is safe, this medicine is safe. So that way human clinical trials, this is called human clinical trials. Okay, so this human clinical trials involves 3 phases. Okay, this first phase is about 1 year. We have second phase which will be taking place for 2 years, and we have a third phase which will take place for 3 years. So here 6.5 years, here you can see 6 years. So that is the time which is required to reach the FDA to give approval. Okay, so that way these results will be submitted to this FDA or any national agency which is taking care of drug administration. So once it reaches the first phase, it will involve around 20 to 80 healthy volunteers, and they will inject this one. So that will be given to them, and the report has to be submitted. It has to be published in journal. Okay, so openly they have to announce what is the result. Similarly, second phase will take for 2 years with more number of patients. First they started with some double digit. Now it reaches triple digit, 100 to 300 patients will be used, and mainly here the focus will be on the efficiency. Here only whether they check here whether it is product is safe or not. Safety is emphasized. Here it is like, okay, even if you are, because here it is given to normal people, here it is tested to patients. So how many of them have recovered? What is the efficiency of this particular vaccine or particular drug? So that will be this one, whether it is helping the patient or not. Out of all the patient, how many of them got this, have the no side effect? How many of them are recovered? Okay, no side effect, but still it's not efficient, right? So that is also possible, right? So that way here in the second phase of any drug invention, we use the it is mainly used to identify the side effects and also the effectiveness of the medicine to the selected patients. Okay, so in this phase 2 it is being done, and next phase in this approval process, in the third phase it will be done for 3 years duration. We take 1,000 to 3,000 patients. So first 80, then up to 300. Now it is 10 times more. So in phase 3, we are using around 1,000 to 3,000 patients, and which is a representative of cross section of the population. Say for example, a country like India, we have different regions, like Punjab, different food habits are there, different atmospheric condition, means environment is different there, and you have people, metabolism is different, right? Where people physique is different, the food habits are different, obviously their food metabolic system will be different, right? So we have to take different type of people, and not only with respect to region I am talking, even in the, when I say different cross section of the population, when I say our country has so much youth, so we should have a representation from youth. We have so much elder people 60 plus, you should have a representation from there. We have so much children, we should have a representation from them. Okay, so like that we have to take, if your population based on the age groups we can consider, we have to take different age group, good means healthy person, patients, all kind of thing we have to take. So in all of them we have to check this efficiency, safety, and also who needs how much dose, right? Different people may need different dosage, so for that also needs to be observed. Some people may get well, see, even for normal fever, someone takes single tablet, they will become all right. Some people may need 7 days to get all right, right? That is saying, right? If you get cough, if you get cold, if you go to doctor, it will be okay in 1 week, otherwise it will take 7 days, like that. Even our own food habits, even in our tradition we used to say, our what the food that we are taking is itself acts as a medicine, right? Food is the medicine, so the proper food intake will also affect your system, right? So that way, this whatever we do in these 3 phases, as I told, first animal testing itself takes place 6.5 years, then we have phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 test, and all this test is being done. Why I am telling all this, I will come to the point why what is the challenge with the biochemical engineer. Okay, so then after this data has to be submitted to FDA. Before they give anything, they will take at least 18 months to go through it and give you this thing. Okay, then still when you are waiting for this 18 month also, still we have to monitor the side effects that is taking place with the phase 3 people. Okay, so we have to do that one. So this whole drug discovery through this approval will take generally 15 years. Okay, on an average it costs about what is the cost of this 15 years work? Okay, so this is around $5,400 million it takes. This price is with respect to 1996 from the author. You can think for 2021 what would be the cost it takes, okay, to get this approval. One drug is discovered in the laboratory, okay, but it has to reach to the commercial production. Okay, so to reach it, what is the cost it takes place, you see. So that is where this a challenge is involved, because this not only this particularly this FDA is giving approval, right? They don't not only give the approval for only this product, but also the process. As a chemical bioprocess engineer or biochemical engineer or chemical engineer, we are responsible for the process, right? What is the, see, we have seen the unit chemical power plant we have. So this flow diagram we have, this process, what is the temperature at which this is stored, what is the rate at which it is rotated, what is the size, design, okay, including that they are giving approval. That is where the challenge is coming into picture. Okay, so they give approval not only for the product, they give approval for the process together. Okay, so another thing is, whatever has been discovered and passed through this preclinical trial like animal trial, 1 out of 10 drug is only getting into this human trial itself. Okay, means whatever drug that is reaching this human being, means clinical trials, FDA approves only 1/10. That is, success rate is only 10%. Only they give approval to 10% of the product. That is it's not like we will give only 10%. That is the way that scrutiny is being done, or the side effects are being studied, all that thing, whatever report we are giving, they do it and identify that, okay, this is good. Some may be okay also, but it may be used for illegal purposes. They may have to stop that also, right? So that also they have to consider, right? So it should not cause some law and order issue also. Even nowadays, several FDA reforms have decreased the years Okay, but in general, any particularly they given excuse for these life-saving drugs in the treatment of diseases or any pandemic situation, or even particularly they have relaxed these norms to number of years. In terms of number of years, they have reduced mainly for cancer treatment after AIDS came into picture, AIDS, cancer, and particularly this pandemic period, they have some relaxations. But in general, it takes this much time, and this is the percentage success to get this one. So, what is as a biochemical engineer, you may observe that some of the procedure followed is not okay, okay, which is fundamentally something wrong is also there. If you want to get any change, minor change in the unit operations or unit processor or the downstream process or in the fermentation, you have taken approval, you have to follow this standard protocol, and then only you will be able to do that one. Same process only has to be followed, and if you want to modify any of this process, okay, if you want to do modifications in any of the process, we have to take again permission. FDA approval is required, which means that again we have to start from zero. What is that? That is, you have modified the process, that product produced has to be tested in the animals, then it will go to phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. We already seen the cost involved, right? So how much cost is involved in getting the approval from the agencies, right? So to produce. Another main thing is we are responsible that even a small contamination may allow this toxic product or contamination to present in the final product. As a pharmaceutical, you can antibiotic, all that we have seen that any contamination is there, that's it. That contamination should not come into picture. If it comes, that may even lead to several side effects, right? Even it may cause side effects like death also. So if it is contaminated, then the product may lead the patients who are taking that particular medicine or this thing to undergo face the side effects, and they may even face the untimely death also. Okay. So also this clinical process is very costly. So even the small changes in processes are done with a limited set of circumstances. That is the biggest challenge is chemical engineering. Even though you want to change something, how will you convince your owner? If you are owner also, how will you convince your team, finance team, to say okay that again we will go for another clinical process? Because we say we want to improve the efficiency with this much percentage, but the cost involved in getting that approval is going to be more than the efficiency increase and cost decreasing. So it's going to be a play, right? It's a trade-off between the process, which one we have to do. As a business person, nobody would like to operate any industry at the loss. Okay, so that way all marketed products must follow this GMP. What is GMP? Good manufacturing practices approved by the legal entity of the country. So mainly it will concern about the actual manufacturing facility and design. Yeah. Yeah. So any product has to be follow through these good manufacturing practices. So manufacturing facility, design and layout. So that's where we have our role to play. Okay, so whatever is the manufacturing facility, design and layout, you have to take care. All the equipment that are being used has to be approved by FDA. It's not that one spare part is missing, I have to replace it with another one. You have to use the spare parts approved by the FDA only. Same equipment, that same manufacturer, we should be able to use it. Okay. Also, there is a standard procedure which needs to be followed in operating each one, and we have to train the personnel going to be work. We have to give proper training. Okay, so it's like the induction program being done for engineering students when you join the institute. Okay, so all the proper training to how to operate, how to behave in this particular sophisticated environment, how to wear all these PPE kit. You can see this under pandemic, we are also wearing all these things outside, but you can see these people working in this industry wear them regularly also. Okay, so we have to control the various process inputs like raw materials, cultures, and we have to handle the product, right? So we have to make a plant layout and design which should prevent any contamination of the product. No contamination should take place in any stage, anything. Okay, so that way we can see that cost involved in the all the raw material selection will be more, and whatever equipment we are using, it should be validated. Okay, and procedure includes the cleaning and sterilization. Each step of sterilization should be taking place, Okay, we should have the control software. Even remember, whatever process control software is there, even the software needs the approval from the statutory body. Okay, and we have to follow the standard operating procedure, or good laboratory practices has to be followed, wearing the mask, wearing the overcoat, gloves, all that. SOP needs to be followed. So that way, any bio manufacturer pharmaceutical should satisfy the government regulations. Okay. Okay, I think time. Yeah, already we crossed time. I'll just wind up with giving you an task to check what is being done in this. Bharat Biotech has recently released their third result, right? Of Covaxin phase 3 result they released. Okay, if you see here. So if you see Bharat Biotech, they released their phase 3 trial data and they claim some 77% efficiency. It came in July 2021. So this is the report they are given, but it is like a notice they are given. Okay, for example, they showed phase 3 result, what is their efficiency, how many have been participating in it, how they were, what is the efficiency. So all this they have given, but they have published this data in this particular journal, official journal. So I am pasting you. You can just click that journal paper and go through it. Okay, so that journal paper may be available or not. Okay, what this I will see. So if you look at them, this is the way they have to release their data. Okay, so like this, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 has to be released, and we have to see where they are doing this work. All that needs to be released to the people. Okay, and similarly, remember we are using this vaccine for only 18 plus. However, you can see that some of the vaccines are being used tested. Remember, we are doing directly on children. You can see that they have doing some trial result for Covaxin on children, which will be released in September. So we are working on it for this particular COVID-19 vaccine. So even in AIIMS hospital, they started injecting into the kids. We are using in the clinical trials, we are directly doing, instead of the preclinical trials, we are doing directly trials on our children. And you can see that latest news. You can see this Randeep Guleria, who is AIIMS director. He said that it's likely to be administered to the. Last week they have been doing this. Okay, 6 to 12 years old children they are testing, and they are keeping them under monitoring, so that they are checking any side effect is there, how it is working on them, like that. Okay, so the trial is being carried out. You can see this trial is conducted by segregating children into categories, which 175 children of each age group is included, and they are working and observing them. Okay, how is it safe or not, they are working on it, right? So this is what we done in India. And you can see that they have said that they are going to start the vaccine for 2 to 6 years old kids also soon. Okay, in the next week they will be starting. In this lecture number 4, we have seen what are the challenges that are faced by a biochemical engineer, and we can lesson can be learned that perseverance is more important for a biochemical engineer, because he is involved in bringing a product or new vaccine or new medicine or new product that is coming into this society. He has the responsibility of producing them in large quantity, and he is involved in the stringent procedures involving the permissions, right, starting from testing in laboratory, animal testing, right, and then it goes to human trials, 1, 2, 3 stages, then it gets the approval. So that all this perseverance is important. Continuously we have to follow it up. Also governments do change, and the rules also they keep changing. So it's a responsibility of the biochemical engineer to make the product or produce the product in line with the stringent rules that are in place in the particular country. Okay, so thank you so much for joining my classroom. We'll continue in the next lecture. Thank you.